clarification. The Abusuapanin we had here, that has been taken off the Abusuapanin position, is the one you are talking about?
Yes.
And his PRO, this is the press. This is the press. So it will be very fine if you can mention the name of this very PRO so that the press can capture. The press, we want you to capture that. That is number one. And then adding to, we are going to say that this very person, legally, we will take him on. And we want the press to capture these two. Because the one who accepted the money and to whom the money was given to, he must identify. And we go forward with that. Then again, you are asking how royals are buried in their home.
Or a family member who died and have a house in Accra here, and you want to bury the person in the person's house. What is the right procedure to follow?
Thank you very much. We have some people that stay completely out of the statutes of this country. Somebody like a Wulomo. The Wulomo is not under the chieftaincy, whatever. So the statutes of the chieftaincy doesn't cover the Wulomo. The chieftaincy covers chiefs, but no Wulomo. So when a Wulomo dies, there is a place for the Wulomo to be put, not in his house where he stays, but royalty has places for them. Number two, if the chief who organizes themselves at the regional house of chiefs, national house of chiefs, they are quasi-government institutions. So if a chief belongs to a regional house of chiefs or a national house of chiefs, whatever, they are under government. So what must first be sought for is a certificate from the Environmental Protection Agency, because the person that has died might have illness or some diseases on him before he died. And so if he were to be buried, or he is to be buried in his home, such things must be put into place. That is number one. Number two, that very person must be given a burial certificate to indicate that the place he is to be buried is known to the health administration. Then number three, if one is to be buried in his home or house, he must belong to the royal family. If you are just ordinary, we don't permit it. If somebody is to be buried in his home, and that has to be accepted, then that person might have done something very special for the Ga and the Dangme people, or the Ga and the Dangme land. Without these things that I have raised, you are not permitted to be buried in your house. So every burial must have Environmental Protection Agency certificate. Because when we die and we are put in the soil, water can drip out of the body, and this water can disturb, other, systems around. So I'll finish with your point. And then traditionally, some customary rites have to be performed. You might heard, the young ones, about when somebody dies, he is led or he is followed by three spirits. The ghost, and then we have something we call utofo. Okay? And number three is that the person's own spirit that can easily possess someone. So when one is to be buried in the house, set customs would have to be performed so that these three spirits will be moved out of the premises. Have you heard that there are some houses people cannot live in them before? Yeah, some of these things can lead to that. So the next question.
Please, what is the consequence if failure to do all this that you said, according to tradition?
We leave that and we'll tell about that later because there are a lot to be done after this very meeting. You understand? We haven't met those we want to meet, so we cannot go deeper into that. Yes. Next question. Any other question?
Yes, please. Please, this is my humble question.
I gave you just one, and you added A, B, C. Okay, bring that and let's see.
The elders made us know that if you don't understand anything, we should ask. And please, I'm asking. When we came, we were asked not to enter here with black attire or a hair without a scarf on like my own. Please, can you explain it further to us? Because our next meeting, if we are to meet the elders, we know what to do.
There is a Ulomo here. He is in white. There is a personality closer to Ulomo. He is in white. Okay? And so this very premises is the citadel of custom and tradition. And we have to let all of you understand. Inside Nungwa, we do not do culture. If you have a tradition, and I have a tradition, but you allow your tradition to be influenced by me, my tradition, entering into yours, then can't you see that I have destroyed your tradition? It's just like, I'm making an example. We have tradition here, and some people brought their tradition. They entered into our tradition and told us that before we could go to heaven, unless they call us Memuna, Aminatu, Abudulai, and we accepted that. We were here. When another tradition came, they said, unless you go to heaven, your name must be changed to Ebenezer and John and Mary. And so, you see, this time in this area and in the era in which we are, people give birth. Instead of outdooring, they take the baby to a church. They take the baby to a malam. That is not our tradition. Those practicing such acts are practicing culture. But if you give birth and you are an African, there is a way of naming your child. So all around us, people are practicing culture. And most people do not know the difference between culture and tradition. Nungwa practices tradition. So covering your hair, maybe you have a rasta. You have to cover it. Because this place, what we call the Rasta people, are displaying. We have what we describe, and the Mulomo is the head of those who do the real pese. So when you bring yours in, are you to be called a wanche? You know wanche? What is wanche? Konfo. So you came here as konfo. You are not konfo, so cover yours. Yours is not permitted. Then again, black attire. Anything black by tradition is of no good omen. So don't put on black to this place because honestly, it is something that is dirty coming closer to a Wulomo who displays white. That is why we say we don't want the black to come in here. All we are saying is that the rumors that have been on air, both in the print and electronic media, we want to clear all those allegations, and then we shall have the free environment to meet them and again to go on with what we intended doing. That was why we said we are postponing the exercise for today. And then when we clear those allegations, because somebody from Nungwa has also said that it is permissible to bury a dead. He says he's a secretary of the Nungwa stool and all that. We have to clear all those things. And then we shall have a very clean atmosphere for this very meeting of which you are here.
Now he's been demoted as the Abusuapanin.
We don't know. We don't belong to that area, so we don't know.
Dealing with him as the one who, supervised the burial of that woman.
We are not dealing with Abusuapanin. We are talking about the Abusua. Whether he is demoted, there is still Abusua. Whether he is installed, there is still Abusua. So we are talking about the Abusua. So may I render my gratitude for you for coming over. Thank you very much. And please, the next time we call you, as you have come, please come in your numbers.